And basically, I'm not going to say that. Hey guys, and welcome to today's Daily Deco. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I hope that you're all well and that you're having an awesome day, whatever time you are watching this video, and also whatever date or whatever year. Do you know what? The day and the time in the year that you're watching this, pop it in the comments below. Let's just see if in 5 years' time someone is still watching these videos. And if you are, thank you very much. Anyway, so the previous couple of Lone Wolf Daily Decos that I've done, they've been very bleak or a very mixed bag. Really good news, but mainly sad news about divers going missing or dying, or inquiries of previous deaths of divers. Basically, it's just been just a tiny bit doom and gloom. But today's 4 stories that I'm going to talk to you guys and girls about are actually pretty positive, which is really awesome. And I swear to you 2 things. I will try my hardest not to say the word basically, but that is my trigger word. I'm going to try my utmost not to say it, but if I do, hopefully you've all got your shot glasses all at hand, ready to get absolutely plastered, as I say that word about 1 million times, because that is my trigger word. I am learning, guys. I am growing, even though I have been doing this sort of thing for very many years, at least on the Scuba channel for the past 5, I don't know, trigger words, man. And my posters, you will notice they are still wonky. I was meant to do it this weekend. I didn't actually get any time to do it, so apologies about that, but that will get sorted. That will get sorted this week. So for people with severe OCD, I apologize. You just have to wait basically till I sort it out. But basically, let's jump into the first story, which is a really positive one. It's all about scuba diving, obviously, but it's mainly about the equipment side of things rather than the actual scuba diving underwater itself. But it plays a key part. Anyway, so 2020 was a rather rough year for everyone, including obviously brands, scuba diving brands. People weren't going scuba diving, so a lot of brands weren't selling a lot of equipment or renting out, should we say, a lot of equipment. Like basically all aspects of scuba diving were affected by the whole COVID-19 scenario. But there actually has been a record-breaking sale profit, or at least a massive profit has been made in the terms of scuba diving in 2020. Let me just get the facts up here. It seems to have disappeared off my thing. That is fantastic. Let me just open up the Word doc and then let's get back into that. There we go. Let me just drag that over. So scuba diving, basically last year, it actually made $3.9 billion globally. Which is very impressive considering the times that we had, and basically because of that prediction, the markets were a little bit like, oh, what's going to happen? Like with everything in the world right now, everything's kind of falling up, not necessarily falling apart, but there's a lot of question marks over things. So because the fact that we actually, or the scuba diving industry or the trade, now when I mean trade, I don't mean I mean physical stocks. I don't mean like training agencies and stuff. This is your BCDs, this is your regulators, this is the equipment that you buy to go scuba diving. As I say, the fact that it took $3.9 billion last year globally is pretty good. And because of that, they've actually done analytics, or should we say smart financial people, have looked into predicting and projecting where scuba diving is going to be by the end of 2027, so within 6-7 years time, and they're saying there's actually going to be a massive increase. Now I say a massive increase, they say potentially, depending on your area, the highest percentage is going to be around about 2.7%, but that's going to be in America alone. But basically what they're predicting is that by the time 2027 comes into play, you're looking at a rough growth of anywhere between 1.7 billion a year upwards, basically. So things are actually looking, projective wise, on the up when it comes to scuba diving equipment. They believe, the financial guys believe, that the big hitters that are going to draw the sales and draw the scuba diving equipment industry up in value and, you know, the increase of sales is going to be regulators and BCDs. It's going to be those two key things, which are very expensive items that every scuba diver needs. Obviously, that's going to be the kind of the core crux of what's going to enable this massive growth in the scuba diving industry, which is fantastic. The main areas where they see the analytical teams see there's going to be a mass growth. So the biggest growth first is going to be in the USA. That makes a lot of sense. Second is actually going to be Canada. A lot of more people are going to be cold water diving, which is awesome. And then third place is actually going to be Japan. I believe the sales in Japan are going up. Scuba diving is becoming increasingly popular over there. Then it's China. So China's a pretty cool, there's a lot of people in China, and the fact that, you know, they're now exploring their waters even more, which is fantastic. And then it's actually followed up by Europe. So USA is number one, then Canada, then Japan, then China, then Europe. So they're going to be the 5 key areas that they're going to be looking at on the market, and that's where the 5 key growths are going to be, or projected to be, by 2027. And as I say, depending on the area that you're living in, they're seeing up a growth of around about 2.7. Now, again, that doesn't mean much, but if you look at, should we say, so America this year, they made nearly 1 billion, just shy, 900 million dollars were made in basically in sales in the US in scuba diving equipment. And as I say, by 2027, they aim the low end is going to increase by about 1.7 billion. So that's pretty good going in 7 years, 6-7 years, you know, it's already started. And the fact that we're in the midst at the start of the pandemic was the trigger when they were starting to look at the analytics. So basically scuba diving is hopefully on the up. According to the analytical team, should we say, scuba diving itself is on the up, which I think is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously BCDs and regulators are going to be the biggest sales on there. They're probably one of the most high-ticketed items. I mean, you could look at dry suits and stuff, but not your everyday, obviously, diver doesn't always, you know, they're not going to go dry suit diving, are they? Let's be honest. Whereas you're always going to need a regulator and a BCD. So that's going to be like the big cause. It would be interesting to see if brands rely, they take this information and then they actually, again, they're going to be doing advances in their BCDs and their regulators, but it will be very interesting whether they make regulators cheaper because of this, and also as well they fine tune what they're doing to kind of, not necessarily to cut costs, but basically make regulators more affordable, which again means more sales, which means the predicted estimate, or the estimation that they've got here will go up as well. So yeah, very interesting times, and that's a very nice positive story to start with. Let me just get my other tab up. Perfect. Right, so the next story is from Scuba Diver Mag, awesome website. You should definitely go check them out. They used to be a sponsor of our old show, Daily Scuba News. But more about that later on. We're going to talk about that. Basically, the next story is actually about a wreck called the Karlsruhe. I believe I've totally butchered that. But basically, this shipwreck was found by Thomas Zatua. I do apologise about that, and the Baltic Tech team. So this wreck was found in the Baltic Sea last year, and basically the two teams have been doing expeditions on the site in December time, and basically they used ROVs and electric gadgetry, as the article says, to explore the seabed of this wreck to kind of get as much information as, you know, physically possible. So, you know, like you do wreck hunters, you know, they go over, they take videos, they take pictures, potentially bring samples up as well to analyze, you know, the kind of the standard stuff that happens on, you know, discovering wrecks and researching wrecks and stuff like that, which is awesome. But the greatest thing about it is 550 meters away from that wreck, they've actually found another wreck. So another ship has been found within that area, which is just awesome. And basically because of that, and because of how well received and how much information they're getting from the other wreck, the Kari, however you pronounce it, Karlsruhe, I really have butchered that, guys. I do apologise. But basically, because that expedition has gone so well and they found a second shipwreck, they've actually been granted almost like an extension or a continuation to continue searching that wreck, scouring that wreck, and following, you know, and should we say, finding potential new wrecks in the waters nearby like they did. So obviously that new wreck, they're probably going to look into that, research that, which could potentially mean that they might find another wreck. But the more information we have, the more we can gather, the more we can find out about these wrecks underwater. So yeah, that's a great story. As I say, the shipwreck was found last year. They did their preliminary or their main expedition in December, and now it has been greenlit again for them to go back to look at the same wreck as well as the secondary wreck that they found and potentially find more in the area. So nice work, Baltic Tech team. You guys are doing really, really well. And as I say, most of the research as well was done through like ROVs and that sort of thing. So yeah, just kind of future-proofing things as well and documenting things is really, really cool. I'm just checking to see if there's anything else on there. No. So, well, apparently they found 10 chests and other artifacts on the seabed near the wreck as well. So whether they're going to bring them up or not, it could be potential. That could be happening in the second wave, should we say, of this expedition. Again, that makes sense. You want to do the research, see what's there, and then if you do get a chance to go back, see if you can actually bring anything back. But yeah, that's awesome. That is a really cool story, and I'm glad that, yeah, that's happened. So the next one is we're going to Malta now. So the Maltese divers, let me get their official name. So the Maltese Underwater Cottage Heritage Unit. I'll say that again. Heritage Malta's Underwater Cultural Heritage Unit and a local dive club have basically been diving the World War II HMS Sothwold wreck. Now this wreck should I say in particular, has been suffering massively over recent years of ghost net gear. Obviously drift gear, ghost net gear just has basically it's just been attached and sadly has been stuck to this wreck, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And yes, I know I said basically, so hopefully you had at least 3 or 4 shots there, guys. But basically, a team have now gone down to the wreck itself, which is, let me see, it's about 65 meters, I believe, 65 meters deep. Yeah, so it's 65 meters deep, and it lies 1.5 miles off the southeastern coast of Malta. And basically, this team itself, they've gone down there and they've cleared all the ghost wrecks. So all the bits of fishing wire, nets, just the rubbish that have sadly drifted into this wreck. They've cut it all up, they've cleared it all up, and they've raised it to the ocean seas to be discarded properly, which is awesome, which means now potentially this wreck, whereas in before, you know, you might want to visit it. I mean, it's 65 meters deep, so it's quite deep. But if you do visit it, you know, deep dive or whatever, you know, you go there and, you know, unfortunately, the wreck is covered in ghost gear. It's a bit of a rubbish sight. Whereas now, you know, the fact that you can actually see the wreck in all its glory, should we say, I think is awesome. So well done, dive team, for actually clearing that up and, you know, making the wreckage itself, I don't know, accessible, should we say. I mean, I know it's not like your everyday wreck diver can go there, but it does mean that a wreck site has been cleared. And also as well, it sets precedents for future wrecks. So Malta or wherever else in the world, if there is a wreck that is getting covered in ghost gear, this sort of action will set an example of actually, no, rather than just letting it build up over years and, you know, potentially damaging the actual shipwreck or the wreck itself, and then breaking up and then moving on to another one, we should actually clear, you know, the ghost gear that's in there, which is absolutely fantastic, and it needs to be done. So this sets precedence, which is just awesome. So the next story, and the last one actually, I'm bashing through these today, which is pretty crazy. So the next one really isn't a scuba diving story, it's more of a freight story, but I thought it was a very interesting one to talk about. So basically there's a freight going between China and California, and it hit rough seas, unfortunately, And it actually lost how many? Let me see. So it was on the 16th of January, but this has only just come into my feed now. Let me see. Yes, so basically it's a container. They're carrying all the shipping containers and stuff. It hit rough waters, and sadly, because of the storm and the rough waters, 750 containers went overboard. 750. That's a lot of stuff going into the ocean. That's nuts to think that that sort of shipping container, you know, it just proves how bad that storm was. Also, it's going to be interesting why they went through that storm, should we say, because they would have had some sort of readings, and that's what you normally get when you're on a boat. You have some readings about a storm and how bad it could potentially be, and maybe, just holding fire, or just don't port, leave it a day, wait for that storm to come by, and then hey, you wouldn't have sadly dumped 750 containers into the ocean. So while that is absolutely horrible and mortifying, obviously it sucks that now whatever was in there is now in the ocean, and also it sucks the fact that that also means that whoever's purchased something is now going to be delays, but then also that means there's another 750 containers that need to come in to the back into LA. So it just basically just means more work for everyone, which absolutely sucks. It does though mean potentially, obviously, if this is a popular route, should we say, for container ships, we can go dive that area and potentially start doing recoveries of the containers. Hopefully the container company that obviously, and the shipping company that obviously lost the containers, hopefully they're looking into having some excavations done to get that cleared up and off of the ocean. I mean, if not, they can leave it there. If they have to leave it there, they have to leave it there. But maybe in, 5, 6, 7 years, divers can go and dive that area, potentially, obviously, due to the depths and obviously the weather conditions in that area. But you never know, that might be something for us to explore. But hopefully, they're going to work and get all of that cleared up. If not, it's going to be like the cases of, when containers normally go overboard, filled with motorbikes, and in a couple of weeks' time, you walk along the beach somewhere in a local area, and there's about 3 or 4 motorbikes washed ashore on those, on there. So yeah, it's something that I'm a bit concerned that it's happened, and also as well to point out, this isn't new. This isn't just a one-off in that area. Apparently, it's happened several times over the past year. So maybe find a new route. Maybe if there looks like there might be a storm, just hold back a day. So then, 750 containers don't get put into the ocean by accident. Just find a new route that doesn't involve that potential swell of weather, which can cause these sorts of accidents. Obviously, the crew and everyone that was on board the ship are fine. No one died, no one hurt themselves, no one lost their lives, which is amazing. But yeah, there needs to be something looked into when it comes to these shipping containers. Of course, weather happens, Mother Nature swells up. We can't protect and we can't predict everything. But yeah, the fact that this has happened a couple of times now in this area, it just proves to me, or it says to me at least, that maybe they should be looking at different routes. And hopefully, again, like I've been saying, like I'm repeating myself, hopefully it will get cleared up. So yeah, that's pretty much it basically. So in a nutshell, scuba diving equipment and trade is actually on the up. There's been big growth, and there's projected growth up until 2027, which is fantastic. And the hot sellers are going to be BCDs and regulators, which is always good to hear. Ghost net gear is being cleaned off of Malta, and hopefully that will set a precedence for other areas to potentially look at wrecks, and if they're covered in ghost gear, maybe cleaning them up too. Expedition, of course, has now been, it got concluded and now it's been extended, so then they can go back, hopefully retrieve artifacts or more artifacts, and look at another wreck that's in the area as well, which isn't too far from their original site, which is fantastic. And yeah, of course, the shipping container story, hopefully that gets sorted, that gets cleared up. If not, hopefully they can map out where the what got lost. If it's hazardous, again, clear it up, map it out, maybe go for a new route, and then hopefully they can get divers and excavators down there to get the containers out of the water. But 750 containers, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff going in the ocean that shouldn't be in the ocean. Anyway, I'm going to stop blabbering. I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully I've not said basically too much in this episode. Hopefully you guys aren't too drunk from doing shots of me saying that word. Yeah, and that's it for today. So guys, like I said at the beginning of the video, I hope you're all well. I hope you are having a fantastic day. I hope you have a fantastic day. And as always, stay classy, scuba divers. 26 times. What's the matter with you, Sean? I do apologise for that. Changes are afoot, but more about that on Thursday. I know we keep teasing that. How many basicallys did you get, or did you count in this video? Let us know in the comments below. I do apologise.